All right, welcome to another hunt study for January 17th, 2025. Decided finally, snow is pretty much gone here now, and finally I decided to get my dogs away from the small area. I have been forced to be running them in the WMA on a lake. Those squirrels have been hit pretty hard, and I decided to just go about an hour south to the national forest and run in an area that I haven't ran this year yet. I haven't didn't get a chance to pre-scout. Been very busy at work, especially when it's doing the started dog. I really like to pre-scout an area. I like to walk through it first and make sure we got squirrels in it. Then it's just a matter of you're going to be on squirrels if they're moving. It's just a matter of hopefully being there during the right time of day when they're active. And work and life sometimes that doesn't lend itself well. But ran my started dog first, Garrett, and right away ran into really fresh wild hog sign. Lots of hogs in the area I'm in. That makes me nervous. And because you could tell it was affecting him right away. He was scent checking. You can see right there he caught the wind of something. He wasn't acting squirrely. He was very much hitting the ground, hitting where on the trees where hogs had been rubbing their sides against. Tore off down the hill a few times. It always makes me nervous when I'm running around wild hogs. I really don't like doing it. Sometimes I can't help it. Down in the national forest, I got over 1 million acres to run in within an hour of where I live, so you can't really ignore that. But the only problem is there's just more and more hogs in there every year, and I carry a pistol whenever I'm in places like that. This in the wintertime, this time of year, the hound hunters that run hogs, they're pretty hard on the hogs. It typically keeps them busted up pretty good and keeps them scared of a dog. Whereas in the summertime, those hogs are really thick in there. But I took my chances and ran. Tough conditions today, 55 degrees, about 30 degrees warmer than it's been the last probably half dozen times I've ran my dogs, and you could tell the heat difference was really affecting them. Extremely windy, and in this area, it's pretty steep, rugged country, and the valleys are in this area are all rimmed in by about a 50 to 100 foot straight bluff drop. So once I drop off the center of this ridge top very far, a few hundred yards, there's really nowhere to go unless you wanted to run over a cliff, and that would have been bad for the dogs. So I was forced to stay on the ridge top in the winds. The only real option that I had, the choice I really had, was letting the dog run up and down the trail and scent check versus making him get in the woods and hunt harder. Typically, when I'm running a started dog, even a finished dog, I don't like just walking the roads and letting my dogs, get in the habit of running straight up and down the roads and winding. But on a day like today, whenever it was really crappy conditions and we had a steady, strong wind coming from our left, I decided that it just in case the squirrels were active right before this, it was starting to spit rain and everything. It was really horrible conditions. It wouldn't hurt to let them cover more ground on that trail and maybe wind a distant squirrel. But ended up not even getting a tree. Even with my finished Mullins feist here, he hunted really hard. Again, heat was affecting him too. Super excited to get out and hunt. He was, and he nosed a few old trails, a few old scent trails. Sniffed a few trees a few times, but went on to fresher sign. He's a pretty hot nosed dog. Um, it typically doesn't like messing with older scent, and it was just a tough day to be in the woods. Tough day to run dogs. I made the best of it. Ran both dogs for about an hour and didn't even get a single tree. Again, I was glad I was out of the hogs. After I switched areas to run my other dog, Patch, my finished Mullins feist. I drove about half a mile down the road just to get him on some fresher area that my other dog hadn't just ran through, but it didn't matter. The squirrels just flat weren't moving with that wind ripping on the top of the ridges and us not being able to get out of it. But sometimes you got to go with what you got.